What's going on, guys? It's Tetrosphere, and I'm finally able to get to this Genesys point adjustment that was posted last night. I wanted to do the video yesterday, but they didn't freaking post it until it was bedtime. I think it was like 10:30 at night my time when it dropped. I wanted to do like a blind reaction, but they didn't really want to help me out with that because I wasn't gonna not look at it. I wouldn't have been able to freaking sleep. So I looked at it last night. I have not watched any other reaction videos or like thoughts from any other content creators on it, so I don't. I am giving just like my original thoughts in that sense. It's been really annoying because I wanted to watch Schmidt's video reacting to it, but I wanted to have a clear head and no bias coming into this for my video, so I'm gonna watch his right after I put this up. Yapping out of the way, let's go ahead and jump on into the changes. So as they mentioned in the what to expect, couple engines and high-profile cards are going up in points here. We do see Draco Tail seeing a pretty substantial point increase with Phimena going from 20 to 30, Ketu going from 10 to 15, and Flame going from 0 to 3. This now also, of course, kills really the generic usage of Flame as a spell negate outside of Draco Tail. Nibiru going from 5 to 6, and Droll and Lockbird going from 5 to 25. I feel like this makes Droll unplayable. I don't think you spend... Because the thing is, if you play Droll, I don't think you play less than 3 Droll. And I don't think you spend 75 points on 3 Droll and Lockbird, dude. I just don't see it. I think Droll's out of the format, which is great. It's great. Don't get me wrong. This is great. Nib going from 5 to 6, probably... I mean, that's virtually meaningless, but... not completely meaningless, I guess. For Radiant Typhoon, Totem Bird and Cicada King both go to 10. Chant goes to 10, and Eldum goes to 7. That's solid. I mean, I can't complain there. I think those are just good hits. Let me say this. It's good that the engine has some points. You could argue that it would have been better if they hit the not generic portions of the engine, like Crocy or Magala even, but I think the way they did it's fine. Runic Tip to 10. Can't complain. It's the only Runic hit. I think you could have kept Runic at 0 and not missed it, but if you're insisting on putting some points on Runic, I think Tip to 10 is fine. For the Q-Tune and Hecka Hands hits, Gygas to 5, Xeno to 10, Clip and Q both going to 5. Look, I mean, these are pretty... They're not nothing hits, but they're also not like massive hits. I think there'll be good decks coming into the Genesys meta. I think it's great that they're willing to preemptively hit new decks, even decks that they don't expect to sell well in advanced, which kind of like, in my opinion, sort of takes away some credibility from this thought that some players have that advanced is something that they use to sell cards that they think won't sell, or Genesys is for selling cards that won't sell in advanced. These cards are not going to be meta relevant in advanced for some time, if ever, and you would think that would mean that they're going to be absolutely free in Genesys so that these decks just run rampant and the set sells, but that does not seem to be their intent here, so that's great. A couple engines. Now this, I'm guessing, is under their category of cards that was... cards that multiply, which they said Dodo Warrior is the main offender of that, and they went from 7 to 70 points. That is kind of outrageous. Like, I don't think you needed to put Warrior to 70, but definitely as we know it, Anima is not playable. You definitely need to change up the list if you're trying to play Animat, because 70 points for Warrior is just... You're not playing Warrior, dude. You're just not doing it. Now, with that being said, I do think you could still play a rank 4 toolbox deck with cards from Animat, maybe like a small Ryzeal package, Sharks package, Heraldic Beast. You could still make a rank 4 slop deck, don't get me wrong. But as it is existing now has been taken out back. That is a wow hit. You know what I mean? That's crazy. Jokel and Case for K9 both going up. Jokel going to 33, Case going to 20, Ripper going to 30. I feel like you're just not going to play K9 in Genesys, dude, which is fine. I feel like K9 is... Could you even play it as a pure deck now? No, not really. like not at full power. So even with no non-engine, you just mathematically can't play K9 at full power as a pure deck. So that's probably for the best. I don't know. I didn't see a lot of K9 in the format, so it's hard to say how warranted this was, but maybe they felt like it was a good preemptive hit, which is fine. Magician Souls and Mathematics Circular both going to 15. I can't complain. I mean, I don't know that these were doing anything super degenerate, nothing that I saw, but these are definitely good, like, efficient card advantage generating cards, so putting some points on them is probably great. This next category is the cards that like insulate your combos from interaction. Regulus, Crossout, and Rafflesia all going to 20. I'm a Trap Trick stan, so hey, Rafflesia is getting some more points. You could see that as a downside. I see it as like a nod that she's a powerful card. So I think so far these have all been pretty banger hits. Nothing that I'm upset about. Okay, so next category is the towers. Liger Dancer goes to 51. That's just obviously perfect. They're listening to the community on that one. That's just great. That is exactly where she needs to be. No complaints there. You can definitely still play Lunalight if you want to. It's still going to be a fine deck. It's just not going to be this unbearable, degenerate hurdle in the format. Rongo to 68. So obviously everyone who watches my past videos knows Rongo was a major concern of mine. 68 points. Obviously I said 100, but it's not going to be played at 68 points, man. This is great. Super Quant going to 33. Look, I don't think Super Quant's like that good, so I don't care. It's fine. I'm not mad at it, but like, okay. This change, I'm both mad and not mad about. So X Pearly Noir goes to 33 points. And in exchange, Pearly, Perlily, and Sleepy Memory all go down a little bit. You could not play Noir and just do like Happiness OTKs instead. That is fine. But if you want to play Pearly in like the traditional like set up Noir, defend Noir control style, it does cost more points now to play it, even if you're only playing one Noir, and you really, really, really are not going to be able to fit Zeus in there. I don't love this. I think you should have made Sleepy Memory like 5 points and Perlily like 3, and then maybe we'd be talking, but we'll see if that ends up happening. I think this was a little harsh on Pearly. But I get why you put the points on Noir instead of the main deck. I'm not necessarily mad about that, but I think the main deck should have come down a bit more. Okay, so these were extra deck cards that get you another card. So Gaga Gaga Girl goes to 15. Another Onomot hit, great. Big Gabonga goes to 15, which is technically also an Onomot hit. Excuse me, because this gets Go 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 Goblinberg. But in exchange, Grand Entrance goes from 33 to 20. So Goblin Biker is still in a pretty good position there. Dragon Drive Punk goes from 0 to 15. So a small Punk hit there. They play one Dragon Drive, which we'll talk about that towards the end here. Galaxy Photon Dragon goes to 15. Nash Knight goes to 15. Wind Up Hunter goes up to 86, and then Mighty goes down to 15. So you still can't play them together, but they just kind of rebalanced it. And then Alan Bershin goes to 20. Alan Bershin's a pretty broken card. I think it was crazy that it was 0 in the first place. So, yeah, these are all pretty good. Some of these are kind of rebalancing in different directions. I think that this is correct. I think Zen Mighty without Hunter is just fine. Okay, so these are the engines that they brought down in price to sort of make them a bit more attractive to try out in the format. Centurion gets a very significant reduction here from 5 to 2 and 3 to 1 for Primera and Trudea. You're not going to do the Cosmic Blazar thing with Crimson Dragon, but I think if you just play Centurion as its own deck, I think it's very strong. So I dig this. I think that's cool. Ninjas goes, I think this is now completely free to play Ninja, if I'm not mistaken. Fine, whatever. Sinful Spoils archetypes. Ash and Poplar are now completely free, but Deception goes from 33 to 40. Look, I don't think that Snake Eye could possibly do anything in this format. What is it, a rank 1 deck? Like, maybe some kind of weird, like, Fire Pile with Fire King or something like that. Maybe like a Mimighoul Snake Eye deck, but dude, no. No. Like, you know what I mean? Just, no. Like, this is fine. You did not even have to put Deception up to make this happen. Because freaking, is it Witch or Wanted? That's also points. Plus Original is 100 points. So, no, this is... I mean, I'm not mad. Like, I'm not like, oh, man, Deception's 40 points. Crap. But, like, you didn't have to. You could have just put Ash and Poplar to 0 and been fine. Hidden City to 0. God, what is that deck? It's some kind of control deck. I'm sure it's still not going to see play. Levianeer goes to 0. Again, just because of the deck it's in, probably not going to see play. Same with Dragon's Light and Darkness. Six Samurai, basically free now, other than Gateway. Probably not going to see Six Samurai still. Barrier of the Voiceless Voice and Nadir Servant go from 33 to 20. This is pretty good. I think you might play 2 Barrier now. Maybe you play 1 Barrier, 1 Nadir, but I don't. I mean, Nadir Servant's strong, don't get me wrong, but I think Barrier is just a little bit better. Although, obviously, Nadir Servant has uses outside of just Voiceless Voice. But if we're talking within Voiceless Voice specifically, I think it's cool now you can experiment with either like 2 Barrier or 1 Barrier, 1 Nadir, and see what you like. I think this is cool. I think Voiceless Voice is pretty strong. Maybe slightly too strong. I think Regenesys might need to see a little more points because the combination of Voiceless Voice and Regenesys is like very strong. I think it's just Regenesys, the spell, that's 33 points, and Code is free. I think Code could be like 5 or 10 points, but that's fine. Labyrinth got some rebalancing, so Welcome and Big Welcome go down to 20, with Lady going up to 40. I think this is really good because now you can play like 1 Lady, 1 Big Welcome, 1 Welcome, and you still have 20 points for like Karma Cannons and things like that. So Labyrinth becomes like a serviceable strategy in the format. Whether or not this is going to make it relevant, I highly doubt, but it's cool. I love Labyrinth. It's one of my favorite decks, so I might try it. We might see how Labyrinth does. Philia Regis goes from 0 to 10, and in exchange, this is like the price Dragon Maid is paying for Shio and Ladies to go from 20 to 10, and Tiding to go from 10 to 5. This is cool. I mentioned it in the What to Expect, that I think Dragon Maid is a really fun deck, really great deck. It would be awesome if it was a major part of the Genesis meta. So, and with Dracotil being so many points, it's not like you're going to be able to combine them to do anything degenerate. So this is perfect. I love this whole section is amazing. So then also Sword Soul goes from Emergence goes from 25 to 10. Moyi goes from 3 to 0, and Ashuna goes from 13 to 3. So you can now play Sword Soul at full strength with 1 Shishao for 87 points. So you can play like a small breaker package with it too, with like Darkhold and Forbidden Chalice or like Book of Eclipse or something like that, and play like a nice like Sword Soul with a breaker package. I think that'd be really fun. I really hope that Sword Soul becomes like a thing in this format, because I feel like Sword Soul to me is like the kind of deck that could be like a poster child of the format a little bit. And then Yang Xing sees a little bit of a buff with 33 to 20, and same with Lightsworn Charge going from 33 to 25. I highly doubt that this brings those decks into the forefront of the meta, but for people that like those decks, obviously it's giving you a little bit more flexibility, so that's cool. This next section here was rebalancing some hits, so that a lot of this is going to be like rebalancing where the points are distributed in packages. So this is going to be kind of tedious here. But Wandering Griffin Rider goes from 20 to 50. Aramesir goes from 5 to 0, and Water Enchantress goes from 5 to 0. Still, you're not going to play Adventure, I don't think. I just don't think it's good enough. Gladiator Beast Tamer Editor goes from 33 to 80, with Proving Ground and Rejection becoming free. I could see Gladiator Beast becoming a thing. I think it is very strong. Although without the link, maybe you're held back a pretty decent chunk, but I think if you're a fan of Gladiator Beast, now is probably a decent time to experiment and try something, because this is a pretty decent redistribution for you. Same with Crystron. With Sulfador going from P to 5 and Inclusion going down, Smyger and Thisfern becoming free, I think you could play pure Crystron now. So if you're a fan of that deck, I think now is a great time to experiment with it and see where you're at in terms of the flexibility the deck has now in terms of how you can build it, because this is overall a strong boon, I think, for what Crystron's trying to do. The Fallen and the Virtuous package, the quick play spell itself moves from 15 to 40, with all the extra deck guys coming down significantly. Albion goes to 5, Tantaclad, Sprind, Grignol, and Brigand all become free, with the Dragon that Devours the Dogma going from 10 to 5. Now for Flame Swordsman slash the Joy Wheeler deck, it's like Flame Swordsman with Metal Morph and Red Eyes and all that. Incoming Machine goes from 33 to 0, and Red Eyes Black Full Metal Dragon goes from 0 to 33. I don't know the ratios like crazy on it, but I don't know that this changes anything, because I think Incoming Machine was technically the better searcher, but Full Metal was also like a good searcher. This is the one that you could like shuffle to grab Metal Morph, right? So like, I don't know. I doubt this changes anything for the Joy Wheeler deck, but we'll see. Light End and Dark End Sublimation and Evaporation Dragons go from 5 to 1. They could probably be free, but sure, 1 point. I don't mind this. And this is like generic cards that they want to see used a bit more, that they feel like were maybe priced a little too high. So Assault Synchron goes from 5 to 1. Potentially also a Kill Tune buff there. You could play Synchrons in that if you wished. Change of Heart, my favorite card of all time, goes from 10 to 7. Snatch Steal goes from 7 to 5. So Monster Take becoming a little bit cheaper if that's the way you want to break a board, instead of using something like Book of Eclipse or Dark Hole or Ultimate Slayer. Karma Cannon goes from 5 to 3. So in tandem with the Labyrinth 3 distribution there, again, a bit more flexible in how you build your Labyrinth deck. Keep in mind that Trap Holic is 7 points, as well as Trap Trick being 3. Dominus Impulse goes from 25 to 20. Spiral goes from 5 to 0. So those are... Spiral's now free, which I think is great for... I mean, Crystron could play it, right? What else could play it? I think it was basically anything that's not light dark. So I'm trying to think of like some decks that also got buffed on here that might also play Spiral, which I think Crystron would be the one that comes to mind. But outside of that, also like Fire King. So yeah, I mean, there's some experimentation there. Impulse is obviously a crazy strong card, but no one's playing it for 25 points. We'll see if people play it for 20. I think Impulse is like a similar card quality as Ash Blossom. So I feel like Impulse will see play when it's the same price as Ash, but we'll see. Duality comes from 10 to 3. I think that's the one that lets you like special from extra deck between light and dark. It's like a chaos extra deck cheat card. We'll see if anyone plays it. I kind of doubt it. This is like kind of like a Metamorphosis type readjustment. Foolish Burial Goods goes from 3 to 7. So this is also kind of a Luna Light hit. But you can still play Liger with 3 Burial Goods for 72 points. So that's not bad. Premat goes from 7 to 3. Monster Reborn goes from 10 to 5. Maybe we play those now. That's pretty cheap for some high quality extenders for literally any deck. I think you play Premature Burial in Doom Z as well. I think you do. We'll see. Dimension Fusion and Return from the Different Dimension going from 45 to 40 and 50 to 40 respectively. Again, I just don't think these are cheap enough to be worth what they're doing, but we'll see. So overall, it's a great list. I don't have, I mean, as I said, through going through it one by one, I mean, I felt like I really enjoyed or agreed with mostly everything they've done here. Like, to me, the only thing that is like really truly missing is Punk got hit a little bit with Dragon Drive going from 0 to 15. Fine. Odeon under the radar once again. Archmage under the radar once again. I understand that these decks were not particularly powerful at Bologna, they didn't necessarily convert there, but they are very, very powerful decks in the format, especially with Joel now being effectively out of the format. I think that those decks are going to be less so Odeon, but with in reference to Joel. But I think those decks are going to be some problems in the format, man. So I'm not quite looking forward to that. But here's what I am looking forward to. I am looking forward to not worrying about Joel and Lockbird. I'm looking forward to not having to win through Joel and Lockbird. And I'm looking forward to playing Mulch Armies instead. Because with Fua being 7 points and Prulia at 10, which, by the way, Prulia is insane in Genesys format, those are just better deals, man. You can play 2 Prulia, 2 Fua for 34 points. Banger deal. I think you play Chummies. Joel's out. Nib being 6 is fine. You could play 1 or 2 Nib. You can get away with 1 Nib because the Chummies can draw into it, or 2 for 12 points. That's fine too. Yeah, as far as like winners and losers of this list go, I mean, I feel like Onomot was the only, like, this. I hate Onomot, but I feel like it was the only one that was like truly treated unfairly. For everything else they did to Onomot, they did not need to put Warrior to 70. Like, this is just hilarious. But I think Radiant Typhoon was treated very fairly. I think the new decks were treated very fairly. Draco Tail, I think, was only strong because of a meta call in response to Droll being popular. But I'm also not mad about this because Draco Tail doesn't need to be a top tier deck in both formats. So I think it's fine to hit Draco Tail a bit harder than is actually necessary. K9, same argument as Draco Tail. It doesn't need to be a top tier deck in both formats. It can be hit pretty hard. Lunalite, I think, was treated perfectly fairly. Like I said, 72 points to play 1 Liger, 3 Foolish Burial Goods, and you're off the races. Pearly, I think, was treated a little unfairly. I do think that Noir going to 33 is fine, but these main deck cards should have gone down just a little bit more. All these unhits are really, really good. I'm really hoping that people experiment with these decks now and see what they're capable of doing in the format. And if they're still garbage, then maybe they'll come down a little bit more. Maybe Big Welcome will go down to 15. Maybe the Centurions will become free. Maybe, whatever. Maybe Sword Soul Emergence will go down to 7 points. Who knows? But I think that's really cool. All this stuff, time will tell. I think changing where things are weighted in the package probably doesn't have a huge deal. I think the biggest winner here is just Crystron. I think overall Crystron won from this quite a bit. And then this is also really nice. I like to see the generic stuff come down a bit. That way the rogue decks can take advantage of it more efficiently, whereas like the stronger decks where you're just spending all your points on your engine can't. I think that's really great. So overall, I'm pretty excited about this list. I give it a 7 or 8 out of 10, honestly. If Archmage and Odeon if Archmage and Odeon were also hit, I would say like with the same intensity as Radiant, and Punk got hit just a little bit harder, I think it would have been like perfect. But because those are missing, I'm going to give it a 7 or 8. I really appreciate you guys watching the video. Let me know what you think about this list down below. I am excited to discuss this because it is such a massive list. I'm looking forward to playing some more Genesys on both Omega and at my locals. I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.